Abre los ojos para ver lo que está
Everybody vamos, put up your manos. Members of time to unite Chicanos, Latinos en los Estados Unidos. Don't care if you're Ricans or even Cubanos. Look at the coaches. We have more common, don't let them divide. These suckers are vultures. Either we standing together or better be standing aside. Now is the time, don't know about you, but I'm gonna ride. We gotta climb, fight for your Vegas, but where was your pride? Where were the gunners that you got inside? Look how our ancestors came to this country. They try to be living the American dream. Don't throw it away. They promise you money and catch your age and for the machine. Pick a new team, you bless socialism, but that is a system that you wanna bring. You need to think, we gotta fight communism, cause it look like we on the brink. Connect on the link, so one party system is taking the power from all of the people. We need to think, who are you listening? These people are evil and won't see the sequence, so what is your plan? Hand in hand, we're standing together, cause it's the one never to do what you can. Please understand, we gotta do better, so walkers remember that we took a stand. Escúchame, 24 es el año, si se puede. Lucha, lucha por la libertad. Órale, vamos.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Latino Free Minds, episode 148. Danny, how you doing, man?
Doing good.
Good.
Doing
How's
good.
How was where'd you go? Did you go to Venezuela?
Venezuela, no, almost. But the cruise ship didn't want to go that way.
Okay.
Just went to visit Cabo, Mazatlan, and Puerto Vallarta. Get a
Nice.
little, a little bit of rest, relax the mind, get it off of work, reset a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was fun.
That's cool, man. That's cool. Yeah, and I was gonna tell people we send you to Venezuela to do some on the ground investigation.
I'm reporting.
Yeah. No, man. But yeah, no, it's always good to take some time off, kind of get away. From, like you said, work and all the other stuff that's going on in the world, So it's always good to take a break.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much things going on that I kind of got disconnected for a little bit, or a lot of it, I should
Mhm.
say. So I feel like I have to catch up if there's so much stuff freaking going on. Crazy.
Yeah, it's what's his name? Gio and Christian have been going, but it's hard to keep up with everything because a lot of things just happen. You know what I mean? Like from if we do the show once a week, from one week to another, it's just crazy how the stories change and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So wanted to try so we're gonna try this new format. We're gonna call it Triple Threat Truth, and basically we're gonna cover 3 topics, about 10 minutes each, and just to kind of give it a little bit of structure and all that, and to kind of just see how it goes. New format to try out.
Okay.
But yeah, man, that, and we'll talk about some stuff from Minnesota. We'll talk about the hoax. I'm just kidding. The Epstein files. And then the last topic would be know your candidate, kind of what we got going on with there for obviously the election coming up here, and well, the whole country, right? Especially here in California. So with that being said, let's get into the first topic. Minnesota. So kind of what do you know, or what have you heard? What have you caught about Minnesota?
Okay. I mean, we've got, some politicians that are really anti-American there, based on what they say and, throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, isn't it, Ilman Omar and Tim Waltz over there? Obviously, they want to make it into a socialist state, which it probably is at this point.
Yeah.
Just taking our tax dollars so that they can fund whatever social programs for the people out there that are taking advantage of it. And, they've uncovered fraud, a crazy amount of fraud. We're used to it because we live in California, but
Hmm.
they've uncovered a bunch of fraud. And now ICE is on the ground over there because it's a sanctuary city, from what I understand. And the authorities aren't working with ICE to apprehend illegal immigrants that have done crimes.
Hmm.
So now we've got this weird, well, not weird, but we should be used to it by now, is Americans protesting federal agencies doing their job in apprehending criminals. That's
Hmm.
the way that I understand it. That's the way that I see it. But tell me if I am wrong or if I missed something there.
No, no, I think it's spot on. That's what I see. Um, they started all this fraud stuff started to come out, and then all this stuff started to pop off. So I don't know. Like sometimes I think, are they trying to distract from all that fraud that was uncovered with the daycares and all that? Um, and what you said about the state itself, right, not helping the federal agency because it is a sanctuary state or city. I've said that in the past that sanctuary states, sanctuary cities, that doesn't help the situation. Like you had mentioned, you're talking about people that, okay, are here illegally to begin with. That's, they're already breaking one law, whether you want to agree with that or not. That's the law in the book. Until the law changes, they're breaking that law. So that's one. But then on top of that, people that have some pretty crazy crimes, you know, um, you'll hear about them, crimes against children, abuse, just crazy stuff, killing people, DUIs. When
Yeah.
the state or the city doesn't give those guys up to ICE once they've committed those crimes, on top of being here illegally, it doesn't help because then those guys, are out on the streets. I think California has we have like a no bail system, I think. So it's like those guys are back on the streets, and ICE has to come around, and then they gotta look for the person instead
Yeah.
of the the city saying, we got this guy here, he's here illegally, he did this and this, come pick him up, send him
Yeah.
back. That would be so much easier. And I don't understand, you know well, Democrats don't usually come on the show, but I don't understand how they could justify just being, hey, this guy got to go. And that makes it difficult. And now you have ICE going around all kinds of cities trying to find these people. And, there's certain illegal immigrants where people say these are good people, they're hard workers and all that. And I get it. But then they get caught up because they're looking for the guy with the 10 DUIs that just didn't get deported after the first one.
Yeah.
That's
You
kind of how
said
I see it.
you said something very important right now, and so you've got good people and bad people, but people with bad intentions, right?
Hmm.
And obviously, the ones with the bad intentions ruin it for the rest of the people, which might have good intentions, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things where I wonder if we ask an immigrant that, is trying to do the right thing, doing everything right, isn't a criminal, what they would think about or what they would say about the ones that have bad intentions or doing criminal activities and stuff like that. So that's an interesting and adult, mature way to approach this,
Hmm.
rather than just lumping everybody into one group and dye your hair green, purple, and blue and start screaming and
Hmm.
protesting against um, you know people trying to enforce the law, whether it's local or federal, whatever, police department. um, And then I wanna bring up something that's really important. With these protesters that I don't know if people know this, but um, a lot of these people are trained protesters. Like they actually have trained, and they're organized in the way that they protest and follow around these federal agents.
Hmm.
And you know, I believe in the right to protest, but there's a
Hmm.
way to peacefully protest, and it's like you look at any other protest, and they protest outside the building, right? And or they'll have a march, or
Hmm.
they'll do something like that. But I've never seen a protest where they go inside of a store and impede, the people from the employees from inside of the store and stop them from, doing their job. Um,
Hmm.
and that might be a little bit dangerous depending on, the type of job, that the person is doing that is being protested against. But just picture this. I mean, we have these professional protesters following agents, and they're trying to stop them from doing their job, which is very dangerous. They're armed, and the people that they might be, the criminals that they're going after, might be dangerous criminals too. So it just brings up a lot of tension and unnecessary um, danger, is what I'm
Hmm.
looking for.
Yeah.
So I don't think people really realize that, but I don't know. I think it's an important point to bring up.
Yeah. No, I mean, the like you said, right? Yeah, go ahead, protest. But I think what these people are doing, goes beyond that in a sense. Um, it's they have the right to do it, even if they're saying things that are ridiculous. But it contributes to the environment, right? It contributes to the, you know, whatever stress levels, or if the ICE agents are already on edge, already worried about the protesters. They're yelling "Kill ICE," spray painting "Kill ICE." You know, you got that lady that was in her car and looked like she was trying to run the guy over. You know what I mean? It's like so many things on top of each other where you can imagine that ICE agents in that area aren't, they're on edge. They probably are looking around and you know
Yeah,
maybe a little worried about what situation they might be in or who's coming up behind them. Like, we don't know, man. There's we had last year, right? Was it where somebody ambushed National Guard
hmm,
that were just walking around, shot them both in the head, I think.
yeah,
So it's like stuff like that. Like there's things that have happened, the behavior of certain people, how the media portrays everything. It's like one of those things where, and I think we said this, leading up to the election and Trump winning and all that. Like, we knew he was going to deport people,
yeah,
and I think at one point we talked about it even being like the biggest thing we're going to have to battle against is people seeing people get deported and then the media spinning it and then kind of playing into people's emotions, and
yeah,
and that's exactly what's happening now.
yeah. You know, one thing that I will admit, and maybe this opinion is different from other people's, on the conservative side, is that I don't like the optics. I don't like, I told you guys, I don't
Hmm.
like the optics of the National Guard going into a city. It just doesn't, it
Yeah,
doesn't
and
feel
you
American.
said that way before this all
Yeah,
this stuff popped up. Yeah.
exactly. It doesn't feel American. It doesn't feel like we should, that should be happening. I feel like we're giving away power, local power,
Mm-hmm.
to federal power when that happens. Um, but this is the problem. Even though I don't like the optics, I don't like where it's leading us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's even, I don't know if this is truth and fact that, some of these ICE agents are trained by the IDF and stuff like that, which I've heard that about police enforcement in the past before also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, I don't like that. I admit that. I don't like that side of it. But let's go to root cause. Is that
Yeah.
what is causing this to happen? And this is the dilemma that I have, that I'm trying to you know, um, you know, come to a decision. Is that if your local representatives, politicians, and police departments and stuff like that do not do their job and are endangering us, the citizens, the local citizens, then what else is there to do? If if local authorities were working with federal agents, ICE, when they detain someone for a DUI, and they find out that this person it wasn't only driving under the influence, but they have a criminal past and they're illegal. Instead of
Mm-hmm.
calling federal agents, the ICE department, to do their job while they're locked up in jail, they wouldn't be out roaming the streets.
Exactly.
So, who do we hold accountable here? Okay, we want to go yell at, the ICE agents, or do we want to go and protest and yell at, local
Legislatures.
authorities or politicians or whoever's,
Mm-hmm.
making these decisions not to work with the federal agencies?
Mm-hmm.
And we go down the rabbit hole of, how a sanctuary city becomes a sanctuary city and what the line um, that divides, endangering, your local citizens. If you're going to be a sanctuary city and you're not going to report uh, illegal immigrants that have a criminal background that should be deported or, be dealt with.
Yeah.
So, you use the word distraction earlier, and I believe that, we're just American citizens were hit from the left and the right. We're hit in so many different directions that our head is spinning, and we don't even know how to react to everything that's hitting us. It's kind of like what we were talking about in the beginning of the episode when you
Mm-hmm.
asked me, you know, how my trip went and stuff like that. Is like, dude, I went away for a week, and there's so much stuff that happened. It's like I don't even, I need to catch up,
Yeah. Yeah.
on what's been happening and stuff like that, because it's so much. And I think that's exactly what they want. And this is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on that, but
No, I think we're on the same page there. That you know, I just want people to think about that. It's like if you have a person that is here illegally, again, whether you like them being called that or not, doesn't matter. If they're here illegally, they're here illegally. That's already breaking the law. Until the the legislature of the United States changes the laws, you know, it is what immigration enforcement needs to enforce. Now, some presidents do it, some presidents don't. You know, most of them have done it. Now we get into what is the media showing now. You know what I mean? So when Obama, Bill Clinton, Bush, when they were deporting people, you know, it wasn't as in the spotlight as this. You know, it's every day. You know, Biden got in office, and you didn't hear about kids in cages anymore. You didn't hear about the 80,000 kids that got lost. None of that. None of that was anywhere in the news. Then Trump gets in and he's enforcing the law, and here you go again. Now it's like the kids in cages cameras got, you know, repurposed to, all right, let's record raids now. So I just want people to think about that, because if they have these people and they commit a crime, which most of the time is DUIs, sex assaults, assaults on children, wouldn't it be much better to just call immigration enforcement and say, hey, the guy is locked up here, come get him, instead of having ICE all over your streets? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what people think, but that's, to me, that makes way more sense. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah. And just to wrap up real quick, what happened to Renee Good, God rest her soul. Um, Lines and boundaries were getting pushed with these protesters.
Mm-hmm.
Every time there was one protest and the next one just pushed the boundaries a little bit more. The next one pushed the boundaries a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. A lot of people don't know that the officer that fired got drugged by a car. I don't know how far, and he was like pretty badly injured and stuff like that. And there's so many things that go on
Mm-hmm.
that when this news comes out, we can't just make instant judgments. We gotta wait for the news to come out. Everything hasn't developed with that whole situation. The
Mm-hmm.
Alex Petty, yeah, him, you know, we're Amendment advocates, and he has the right
Yeah.
to carry. Okay,
Yeah.
but if I had a concealed carry, and I'm gonna go protest,
You probably wouldn't do
and
it.
I'm gonna go get into a scuffle
Mm-hmm.
or get in the middle or in between a law enforcement agent, whether it's local or federal, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to do that with my, a concealed carry. One of
Yeah.
the first things that you have to do, and I know this is not exactly the rule, but when you get pulled over, you have to let the police officer know that you've got a concealed carry.
Yeah.
They ask you for your paperwork and stuff like that, and that's just you encountering them on a traffic stop or anything like that. But when you start, getting physical with a police
Yeah. Law
officer, a
enforcement. Yeah.
federal agent, law enforcement, it's not wise. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or whatever. I'm just telling you that I wouldn't do that. I've got a son.
With
I
yeah,
wouldn't
with a
tell
gun.
him. I wouldn't advise him to go do that. I'd be like, "You're a dumbass for doing that." So I think that just needed to
Yeah.
be said on my side. I mean, and the full story hasn't even developed on that. So for us to pass judgment and give our opinion on that type of situation, we'd be the same fools that are jumping to conclusions on
Mm-hmm.
the opposite side if we did. So I'm gonna reserve judgment until everything comes out. I'm just saying that it's not wise for someone, even if you're concealed carrying, to have an altercation with law enforcement if
Yeah.
you're innocent. So yeah.
Yeah. So on to the next topic. And this is it's a good one here. The Epstein files, right? So the Epstein File Transparency Act was signed by Trump in November 2025, and the files should have been released by December 19th. Uh, Supposedly, DOJ has reviewed millions of pages, but they've only released a few, and they're, you know, redacted. And supposedly, I think the report was 2 million more files are still, still have to be released. So way past the deadline set by Congress.
Hmm.
Um, I know Trump was saying about it being a hoax, and I think him using that angle on that, I think that was bad. Uh, that was a bad, I get he used hoax for a lot of other things, but I think the Epstein files is one that mm,
People
was
underestimate
it was
this.
a misstep. Yeah.
People underestimate this topic. If you ask me, I think I might have a unpopular view on this one as well. But they say that the voters, Republican voters or Trump supporters, the percentage that have interest in the Epstein files is very little.
Mhm.
and I think that's false. And I think so. I want to know who's in the Epstein files and what's in the Epstein files for the obvious reasons that most people want to see what's in them is
Hmm.
because there was people being abused by powerful wealthy people that shouldn't be protected.
Hmm.
But to me, this means more. And if I could explain, it means that my hope and instinct that Trump was going to bring us to a different level of transparency and truth is out the window.
Injustice. Hmm.
Yeah, because look, there's people out there like PBD. I've heard them say they've got all the information. Now they've got leverage on these people, and now they can get things done that they need to get done in politics, right?
Hmm.
Well, you know what I say to that? Fuck that, because that's not what we wanted. We don't want another politician to hold something over another politician to do it. We want what I want, what people that want the Epstein files released want is not to be led by a bunch of criminals,
Hmm.
demented pedophiles, in criminals,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So what this tells me is a huge disappointment that we're not going to get what we thought we were going to get with Trump by the end of this his last term here.
Hmm.
It's, it's the same thing, repeat. And what people need to understand, when people like in the PBD podcast say, they're using that as leverage and they're going to be able to do things in politics now and stuff like that. He's not going to live forever, and he's not going to be the president forever. Ever, okay?
Hmm.
He's not good. You're phrasing it. People are phrasing it as if he's going to do the right thing with that information, with that blackmail information. That's not true.
Hmm.
Other people are going to come in. Whose hands is that information going to go into if that is true, allegedly, right?
Hmm.
So no,
Yeah.
I'm not happy with that. I want the truth. I want criminals to see justice.
Hmm.
And if they say it's going to break the government and stuff like that, I've told you guys this is that I'm not of the opinion that there's only a Trump that can help us. All the way
Hmm.
back from 2016, um, there's other people in this country. We can't be that pessimistic and short-sighted that there's no other people that can be a mayor, governor, um, congressman, a
President.
senator, and stuff
Hmm.
like that, or president, vice president, and all the treasury and all these other positions in government that people can take over that will do the right thing. So I'm just not happy with that, man. And it's more, we live here in California, and we know these politicians that try to pass these bills trying to lower the age of consent and stuff like that. No, man, it's
Yeah.
I'm sick and tired of it. But
Yeah.
anyway,
No, it's crazy, but to your point, right? We didn't vote for leverage. We voted for a hammer, and it ain't happening.
I want to see this. I want to see
Yeah.
him in handcuffs, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. It's like two points kind of related to that. Like, you know, I usually, like, when we post stuff and haters in the comments and all that, I don't really care. But there is one common thing that they all comment no matter what the topic is.
Pedo protector.
Pedo protector, Epstein. And it's like, dude, like, yeah, we want that stuff found out, and we want those to pay to be held accountable for whatever they did, whatever's in there. And that hurts, like I was saying about Trump calling it a hoax and this and that, and them not releasing it. Any people that are perceived to be conservative Trump supporters, like, no matter what you're talking about, what information that is relevant to, for example, California or whatever, there's some people that just go to that and tune you out. That's has to do with that, and obviously that probably that person themselves has to open their minds a little bit more. And then the other thing that's disappointing, kind of related to this, is to me Bongino.
You took the thought out of my head right now.
Bongino, I don't know. Maybe it is different, right? Maybe it is different. You could be on a podcast, you could talk tough, and you know what I mean. And he was one of the ones that's what he would say every day, like almost every day, that accountability, that it's coming, and this and that. So when he got in with Cash, you know, after all the talk, right? They talk the talk, but they ain't walk the walk. Um, and now he's
They were
blocking
walking
people.
backwards, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and he's blocking people, calling them black pilled, and calling people names just for wanting what we thought we were gonna get, which is accountability for something that seems like crazy crimes committed by powerful people. Like I don't know why he's turned against everybody that kind of
Supported him. That was
supported him, and why he was in there and was happy he was going in. So yeah, that Bongino's disappointment to me, huge.
yeah. I mean, um, I really didn't watch too many podcasts or anything like that, but I mean, I would see some videos of him speaking about this stuff, and I mean, if he was basically leading the charge when it came to this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you you opened our eyes to some of these things, and now you're telling us to close our eyes on those same things.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, he's blackpilling himself.
Yeah.
He's tripping.
Yeah. That's to me, that's like, you know, it's like what did he what did he see or not see? Like, you know what I mean? And then there's all that like they're not transparent about what the hell's going on, you know? So it's just crazy. It's at the end of the day, it's been what, over 30 days, over 40 days since they were supposed to be released, and they're not. So, which goes into, politics, right? If there's a deadline set and it's not met, what's the point of the deadline if there is no accountability even for that deadline? You know what I mean? For something as simple as that, obviously you're not going to get accountability for something as crazy as what everybody in a sense knows was going on with Epstein and what he had going on. So I don't know. I just think the way it's been handled is the complete opposite of what we wanted, and it's just probably one of the to date probably one of the biggest disappointments
Yeah.
of the administration so far this time around.
Well, talk about everybody knowing is that we actually watched the Skulls. It's a, I don't know if it was made in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's Skulls. It's like what's that university where it's almost like a fraternity and stuff like that, but they select you, and
Mm-hmm.
it's an elite club, basically what it is. And they go through. They literally have examples in the movie of how they blackmail a senator
Mm-hmm.
um, with an underage girls, and that they like a 19-year-old girl, not underage, but she was 19, but the dude is in his early 40s or whatever, and he's a senator.
Mm-hmm.
So they threaten him with ruining his life with that, and obviously he makes a different choice than he was gonna make because of that blackmail information that they had over him. And dude, they don't even try to hide it. They show us in the movies.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, that's like, how stupid, how weak, spineless are we that we allow this to happen? It drives me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, who knows if they'll get released or not, but they like to say promises made, promises kept. So
Let's see.
hopefully they keep that one sooner than later.
Yeah, maybe it's that 5D chess that they keep talking about. He's gonna
Yeah,
all of a sudden drop those binders with some real shit in them next week, and
yeah.
yeah,
We'll
I'm losing
see.
confidence, baby. So okay,
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's not like we have a going into the next topic, but it's not like we have a midterm and a election coming up, right?
yeah, you gotta get those wins. Hey, maybe that's a good strategy. Hold all of that, make them think that you're not dropping it, and then release the truth, and all hell breaks loose, and everybody votes for everybody votes red
Yeah,
in November.
for not pedophiles.
Hmm. They all get arrested,
we
and
gotta
there's no one to vote
we
for.
gotta start over.
There's no one to vote for. Yeah,
Oh man,
that would be
but
hilarious.
now to segue into the last topic is obviously like we said we have a is election year midterms.
Yeah,
Um, here in California we'll be voting for a new governor. Newsom is termed out, and you know he's probably gonna pretty sure he's gonna try to run to be president. Um, Good luck to him with that. Not a lot of people outside of California like him.
yeah. I wish
Um,
them the worst luck with that. Sincerely.
yeah, I mean, so last election we had the Know Your Candidate series. So we're basically we talk to candidates directly here on the show and kind of get to know them. It's not so much of a I would say interview or like what would you call it? We don't put them in a hot seat or anything like that. It's just like trying to get to know the person, what they're about, what they want to do, right? For in this case, our state or our country, if it was a congressional seat. So we're gonna get back to doing those. Last year, we did interview some of the California governor candidates, the ones that came on. Shout out to them. David Serpa just dropped out. I don't know if you saw that. He dropped out of the race. Um, and he was probably like, he was in the top two for me for sure. I liked Serpa. Um,
I
but
wonder what his plans are. He didn't.
he did. I want him to. I want him to run for a lieutenant governor,
Hmm,
like you know what I mean.
yeah.
I think Bianco and him could be a really good team. Let's say if they were to both get elected. I know Steve Hilton. He's got his Democrat team that he put together. So I don't know. I don't like it, but you know, those are the top two in the polls.
What do you mean by he got his Democrat team together? They're all,
I think they're all like ex Democrats or something.
are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know if all of them, but some of them. And
Hmm.
I still think Steve Hilton's a Democrat too. You can't convince me otherwise. Not yet. But anywho,
He's got surprisingly his charisma and the way that he's been outgoing and pushing back,
mhm.
with the talk. It actually surprised me. I think
No,
he
I mean, I think in a sense he's got a good game plan with the social media and the post and what he does. You know,
his touring. Yeah,
yeah, he's got that down. He's got that media side down. But it's also it to me. It's like he's also just saying a lot of what people want to hear.
it's like being a politician. You say all the right
Exactly.
things at the time of votes. You know,
Yeah. So that's my concern with him. Um, but we're gonna have candidates on. We'll look to probably have Bianco back on.
Mhm.
Um, we are
I
working
like
on.
the
Mhm,
idea of. Sorry to interrupt, but with Bianco, the environment that we're in and the need for law and order.
mhm,
You know, a lot of this friction that's happening is because local agencies, like we mentioned earlier, aren't working with federal agencies, and they're trying to call them.
Yeah.
I won't get into it, but you know exactly what I mean. But
Yeah, yeah.
so
No, I think, just to kind of touch on that real quick, once that happens, it's going to change a lot of the outlook on all this immigration stuff, and raids won't be necessary because you just go pick them up at a jail. Done. Easy. Away from the public. But, sometimes Democrat leadership wants to learn the hard way and or put the people through the hardest way possible, and it's kind of what we see now. But we do have right now we have two scheduled. So we have Tish Heyman. She's running for LA mayor. So we'll have her on February 10th, and we'll talk to her. Um, she is. I don't know if you saw it. It was like couple months ago. She was at the Gold's Gym in LA, and there was a guy in the
that's her.
women's restroom. That's her.
Wow.
So she's running for mayor of LA, and she'll be on with us February 10th. So we'll talk to her about what she wants to do for LA, and she's really focused on protecting women's spaces. So that'll be a good conversation there.
You know what the beautiful thing about that is that even though if she doesn't win, um, she's advocating for real women's rights,
Hmm.
and all the women that have been sitting back watching men take over women's spaces, even being a woman, taking over being a woman as
Hmm.
a man, that naturally, instinctively felt that it was wrong, are going to be emboldened to speak up. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that just the fact of what she's doing right now, it's like a congratulations. That's a real woman standing up right
yeah.
there.
She went through something that I think we agree women shouldn't be going through, and I think they try to make her the quote unquote bad guy, and she said no, and now she's stepping up and gonna run for mayor against Karen Bass. um, Spencer Pratt is also running for mayor, so we'll see what happens there. But I think with that going on, and then the whole fire thing, both of those might have a good case, you know what I mean? But again, we'll see. We'll get to know what she's all about, and everyone that tunes in also will. And then we have Dick Lucas, who's running for state assembly in District 51 here in California. Um, so he'll be on the show March 10th, and we'll talk to him about obviously the more people we can flip in the state legislature, the better, because Democrats have had a super majority, and they can literally pass whatever they want to pass here in California.
Yeah.
Um, so unless it's something crazy and the people of this state actually you know speak up, or make some noise, like when what was it, they didn't want to make it a felony to acquire a 16 or 17-year-old for stuff, and then a lot of the population was like, no, that's crazy. So if that doesn't happen, they can pass whatever they want. So I believe, and I could have this wrong, but um I think Carl DeMaio said, and I think he said it when he was on with Gio and Christian, was there's 26 seats that can easily be flipped if we just focus on them. But it's going to take us, obviously, not the GOP, because I've never heard him say anything about 26. And
There's
then
a
that's what Carl
GOP
DeMaio said.
here in California.
I think so. They have a convention soon. You
Oh,
got to pay for it, though. Um, you got to pay them to lose again. But yeah, Carl DeMaio says 26 and 26, which is pretty catchy, right? Um, and if you put the right people in, you put the right energy in, hey, anything's possible. Um, and then also on a more national level, we're working on scheduling Mayra Flores. So she was in Congress, I want to say a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
She's, I believe, the first Mexican born, came to America, became citizen. She's the first Mexican born congresswoman that got in. So she'll be on. She's running again. Uh, that's funny because when she got in, she wanted to join the Latino caucus,
Mm.
and it was mostly Democrats, and they didn't let her in. So, yeah, we could ask her about that. But
Wow.
otherwise, we're gonna work on other candidates. There's some candidates that we tried to get on, and it just didn't work out for whatever reason. But the candidates that do want to come on, we'll definitely have a conversation with you guys and see what you're about. And hey, if you're listening and you know any candidate that you'd like to see on here, let us know. But yeah, we'll keep that going. 'Cause again, we're looking for fighters. We're not looking for politicians. We're looking for people that are actually going to do what they say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, man, I think two, three good topics. Real quick hits on each of them. Minnesota. Hopefully they get it together. Tom Homan was out there, and I think he kind of said what we've been saying is just give us the bad guys and make it so much easier. So we'll see how Minnesota responds. We'll see what happens with the Epstein files and if they ever get released. And like I said, look forward to the Know Your Candidate episodes that we'll be doing this year before the primaries in June, and getting to know some of the people that are running to represent us here and hopefully make a difference here and turn this state around. But any final thoughts?
No, I mean, my only thoughts in regards to Minnesota is all of the things that we talk about. If you think about it, always go back to the same thing, and it goes back to corruption and the citizens' will not being done by our representatives, the politicians and stuff like that. That's
Mm-hmm.
really what it boils down to. And if we continue to fight each other, they continue to win. um, a long time ago, I think it was right around 2014, um, at work, I was talking to this gentleman, and he was telling me that he actually knew some politicians, like personally, like grew up with them and stuff like that, and still had like a friendship with them.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, he's hey, we're getting played because his friend would tell him, and these are politicians at a very high level, like at the highest national level that you can think of. And they would call each other and go, "Hey, I just blasted you on CNN on this interview, just so you know, this is what I said." And they'd have a little laugh about it or whatever, and he's like, "All right, cool." And
Mm-hmm.
then the other person would go on, and they would respond to what the other person had said. So let's not be naive enough to believe that we're not getting played when there's this right versus left and stuff like that. We got to
Mm-hmm.
have an open mind. We can't just take everything that they say and do hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stay independent.
Yeah. Things are more nuanced than right and left. So, sometimes you're gonna be a little bit left, sometimes you're gonna be a little bit right, but you gotta, not dig your heels into this is my side. You have to keep your mind open to everything. So, you know, keep fighting. Um, keep your mind free. Follow us Instagram, YouTube, X, all that good stuff at Latino Free Minds. And that's all we got for this week. God bless you all. Peace be with you.
Peace be with you.